back to Maelstrom Gaming. Today we're going to look at the Tyranid Warrior, a request sent in by a couple viewers asking about the different strategies and looking at some of the math hammer between the damage output and the defensive potential that warriors have in Warhammer 40k 9th edition. We're going to first start looking at the common builds. So I classify them into 5 different common builds of Warrior. We have a heavy shooting, we have a heavy close combat, we have the max loadout, which is combining the heavy shooting and the close combat. And then you have your support or objective-based warriors that aren't really designed on doing damage, but just, supporting your overall army and the flow of the game. Blends of these combinations are possible. You can obviously mix and match your warriors to however you want. If you want to have some shooting, some close combat, but not fully load anything. The thing you want to ask yourself when using your Tyranid warriors is, because they are so versatile, what do you want them to accomplish in your army? It's important, so you don't want to have expectations for your warriors that they're not going to meet, because if you want them to be that close combat potential, you don't probably want to just cut them out with siding towns. You want to give them the close combat weapons and
tech into exactly what you want them to do.
So it's an important thing to ask yourself when you're building your list. If you're using warriors, what do you want them to do? Because they are so versatile. So some more background. Almost all of the Hive fleets, they benefit the Tyranid warriors in one ways or more. Leviathan, you got that 6-up Feel of Pain, which will help with their durability, especially against multi-damage weapons. Kronos, rerolling once for shooting if stationary. If you're playing a heavy backfield shooting army, then that always helps out with warriors. Jormungandr, a crowd favorite currently right now. Counting as light cover if you only make a normal move, really helps stack up that durability. You've got Kraken, 3/6, pick the highest advance, and your fallback in charge. And then Behemoth, your reroll charging.
Debatably for maybe the most important part of this is something we've touched on the channel previously, but the adaptive physiologies, and probably the most important of them is enhanced resistance, which ignores AP -1 and 2, and we all know how important that is in this edition.
Yeah, Tyranid Warriors only having a 4-up save, ignoring AP -1 and 2 really gives them
makes them a completely different unit.
Yeah, it gives them that staying power. And another one some people like to try is dynamic camouflage for an extra +1 to save. So if you're in cover, you get +2 to your save. It's a sneaky way to get 2+ warriors while standing out in the open.
Which is a lot. When
we go back and forth, you'll see us go through these options. We're going to say, either put enhanced resistance or dynamic camouflage. Just refer back to this part where both of them are good. We lean towards enhanced resistance because it works in close combat where dynamic camouflage doesn't.
And considering it's 9th edition where a unit like this is almost assured to get into close combat.
Yeah, unless you really want to play in backfield, but you should be in 9th edition playing in the center of the objective where close combat is always possible.
Definitely.
Yep. All right, so we'll look at our first loadout. Oh, sorry. No, we have a little bit more background.
Right.
All right, so the Tyranid Prime, we've talked about it before. Not a favorite HQ option for the Tyranids, but if you are going to really tech into your warriors, it's a pretty essential part. It gives that +1 to hit, and it's most important on the shooting because they're only ballistic skill 4. Going from 4 to 3 is really good. If you're going on close combat, going from 3s to 2s is great, but not nearly as effective.
Right. We'll get to it later, but in general, it's going to be more of a staying power issue than high damage issue. Only take it if you're really spamming your warriors and you want to step up that damage potential that they can do. And then the key stratagem, everybody who uses Tyranids knows it, Unyielding Chitin. 1 command point per phase, that's key, but reducing incoming damage by 1. This will really mess with some of your opponent's weapons that are only damage 2 or damage 3, making it that much more difficult, or I should say it makes the incoming shots less efficient. So a damage 3 weapon now becomes 2, and now instead of 1 shot, it takes 2. In a lot of situations, it can increase their time they're on the table by like a turn or two.
Absolutely.
Depending on your use of it.
With those high damage weapons coming in. And yeah, we'll leave it there. All right, so first loadout, range damage output. Again, this is designed to be your key damage dealers at range. The loadout, you arm them all with Scything Talons, and then 6 of them have Death Spitters, 3 of them have Venom Cannons. So then again, enhanced resistance or dynamic camouflage, whichever you floats your boat. That comes out to for a 9-man squad, 234 points, which is, it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things.
Do we think it's worth it with the shooting though for this?
If you're bringing the prime, so that'll bring it up to over 300 points if you count the prime in there. But it
is formidable though.
They can do some damage. I mean, a Death Spitter is basically an old heavy bolter.
Yeah, right.
And then the Venom Cannons they're fine. They're a little swingy, but when
better than they used to be.
Better than they used to be, and when you have 3 of them, it kind of helps the averages work out there. So the High Fleet adaptations for these boys that you might go with are Kronos, Leviathan, or Jormungandr. Again, it's how you want to play them.
Yeah.
If you're willing to sit still a couple turns with these guys, then Kronos will definitely give you an extra, I think it's 10 to 16% of a damage buff with those rerolling ones to hit for shooting. But if you want to go a little bit more defensive, Leviathan or Jormungandr can help out there in your durability aspect.
Definitely.
All right.
Close combats. So this is...
Be your key damage dealers.
Right.
Yeah.
Generally, you can do 9 of them, and between that is going to have 2 sets of bone swords for 6 points per model. Adrenal glands for 1 point per model.
Yep.
And enhanced resistance, as we've touched on before, coming out to 216 points, which is slightly cheaper than the shooting ones.
Slightly cheaper. You have no range potential.
Right.
Whereas with the shooty ones, you still can technically, butt your limbs around.
Both, yeah.
But they're not effective.
Yeah.
So these guys, are you going to run up the board, you're going to sit on that middle objective, and you're going to fight and probably knock a lot of things off the objective.
Yeah.
Bone swords, in my opinion, still lack from only being 1 damage.
Yes, definitely.
But AP -2 is still nothing to laugh at. Giving Space Marines a 5-up save is wonderful. The High Fleet options for these guys, Kraken for your close combat, Leviathan for durability, Behemoth for close combat, rerolling your charges, and Jormungandr. I guess
to get them there.
To get them there, if you're willing to not advance them and you want to have that little extra durability, it's an option.
Generally, though, probably stay away from it with the close combat ones.
I would lean towards Kraken or Behemoth with them, or yeah, up to you. Whatever you are showing. We're just giving you the lay of the land.
The lowdown.
So now for your max loadout, this is basically combining the previous 2. So you've got Bone Swords and Death Spitters, and then Bone Swords and Venom Cannons.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I would say that if you are doing this, this is definitely the most casual one, for fun one.
Right? Yeah, there's potential that they can be good, but you really, at 270 points a squad, and you always want to run them in pairs if you're playing them to be your workhorse of the army.
Yep.
Pairs of these guys, so now you're looking at over 500 points. You want at least 1 prime.
I was going to say, if you're doing this, the max loadout, you should always have a prime because you want the most benefit out of them. Yeah,
so the points, while it's only 270 points per squad, which doesn't seem like a ton when you look at a 2,000 point army.
Right.
Looking at 2,000 point army, it doesn't seem like it's that much, but it's your trade-off. Do you want your warriors to be your damage dealers, or do you want them to just be support?
And how much do each of those different types of warriors benefit your overall army?
How you're going to play.
Right.
Yeah. So options, anything really works for these guys.
That's basically everything we've talked about previously.
Pretty much. I put Kronos on there, but I would personally not use Kronos in this one because you want to be moving and shooting, and Kronos won't help you at all in that case.
And getting into close combat.
And Jormungandr or Leviathan, and Kraken or Behemoth for your durability and offensive capabilities. Now we have a support build. This is if you just want to plop in a few warriors here and there just to help you with objectives. Warriors are great for giving synapse to things like your exocrines or your Tyrannofexes, your Hive Guard, anything that's sitting at the back in the board, where the rest of your army is moving forward to contest the middle, but you've got these big bugs in the back.
I think another, I mean, it's pretty related to what you just said, but another way to think about this build is it's not going to be your opponent's ideal target. It's not going to be the first thing they shoot.
No.
So it can do these things pretty effectively because it's not going to be the first thing you shoot with the last cannon. You know?
No, I don't think you would. If they're only 51 points for 3 of them. Running them with so you could give them Death Spitters, but I like doing dirt cheap, dual scything talons.
Build.
Yeah. 51 points. It's 1 point more than a Termagant squad.
The much better save.
Much better save, toughness. You have 1 less wound technically, but you get synapse. They can do your deploy scramblers. They can hold your objectives, anything like that.
Pretty much the opposite of the maxed out build that we just talked about.
Really. And then High Fleet. For your High Fleet, you shouldn't build your High Fleet around this unit.
Right.
Unless you're going for something really weird in there. But
really fancy. I don't know what you could even do.
These guys are designed just to be a plug-and-play sort of support unit.
With a lot of benefit.
With a lot of benefit.
Yeah.
All right, objective build. This one's one of my favorite. So it's designed to be cheap, durable midfield objective holders. They're not looking to run up the board, slaughter, and go toe-to-toe with Terminators or anything like that. They will hold. They will stay.
Yeah.
But with just scything talons, they're not going to do too much for you.
Yeah. I think something else to add for these two is as we go through the different types, it might seem like this is kind of in the middle. Like it's not all the way maxed out. It's not just for objectives. But from being an opponent of the Tyranids for many years, as I have been, this one gives, I think, possibly the most trouble.
Yeah, it can be because a 9-man squad is only 162 points.
Exactly.
It's less than your 10-man intercessor squad.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
Right? Yeah. It is because the intercessors are 20 points a model.
Right.
So it's less than your 20-man intercessor squad. They will survive just as long, if not longer, than your 20-man intercessor squad.
It's pretty much guaranteed if you use
enhanced resistance. But for only being 162 points, they are a threat to the objective portion of the game.
Which is
a huge 9th edition right now. And your opponent will have to dedicate a lot of firepower to eliminate only 162 points.
Right.
If you have 2 of those, I mean, I think these ones are okay. I say, you always want to have duplicates. So if one thing fails, you always have a backup.
Yeah.
Repetition or duplication, I think, is key in a lot of 40k list building. But with this unit, it is totally okay just plopping 1 squad in. Yes, you're using one of your 2 adaptive physiologies on them, but
it's probably one of the best uses you can.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Just stick them up there and let them sit. Let them sit. Objective secured. You don't care what's going. Well, okay, you could care what's against.
There's certain situations.
But High Fleets form, Leviathan, Jormungandr. Again, defensive. Do you want the 6-up? The 6-up feel no pain. It can really be a thorn in someone's side when you're looking at. I got a damage 3 weapon. Okay, I'm going to reduce the damage by 1. Now I roll a 6-up save.
You can just add up the amount of times you have to shoot them.
Your shots could go from killing 9 warriors outright to killing 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So I like Leviathan, again, because Jormungandr only works in close combat, and you want to rush these guys up to the center objective and let them sit there.
Right.
They're going to be your anchor point for that flank. A custom High Fleet, if you want to have a little fun, you could do the custom High Fleet of giving Scything Talons AP -1. This will improve their damage output a little bit, and you're taking a little bit away from the durability, but not a crazy amount.
Right.
With the other half of your custom High Fleet, you could say the metabolic regrowth, so every unit regains a wound at the start of every turn. So you get a wound back. It could just be annoying. You've got 1 warrior on 1 wound. Okay, now he's at 2 wounds.
It's a fun thing to experiment with. You know?
I think it's one of the more competitive custom hive fleets, but again, it's still not on the level of the other ones.
Right.
So now we're going to look at some math hammer here on the Tyranid Warriors.
Everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite. So let's start with showing the damage output that these warriors can do. These are going to be assuming a 9-man squad of warriors is all getting their max shots or their max hits or anything like that, and hitting at normal ballistic skill or modified with the Tyranid Prime, but no negatives in here.
Sure.
So with your max shooting output, you have your 6 Death Spitters, your 3 Venom Cannons, against a Toughness 4, 3-up save, so Space Marine Intercessor.
Yep.
With the Prime giving you a boost, you're going to do 13.6 wounds. First shooting phase, sure. And without the Prime, you're going to do 9.19 wounds. So 13 and 9.
Pretty significant difference.
Yeah. With against Toughness 5, 3-up save, so Gravis Armored Marines, you've got 8.56 wounds or 6.41 wounds.
With the Prime?
With the Prime without. And then it's actually the same numbers because of the strength of the weapons. It's the same against a Toughness 7 vehicle.
Right.
So again, 8.56 and 6.41. So that's that. Now you go to a max damage in close combat, so the 2 sets of 2 bone swords, 9 of them again. You've got 12 wounds to a Primaris Marine, and you've got, with the Prime, and 8 wounds without a Prime.
Yep.
So that's 6 dead Marines.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Pretty significant.
And then against your Gravis guys, you've got 8 wounds or 6.67. That's pretty good.
And
so that's
same thing for a tank.
Same thing for a tank.
8 wounds or 6.67
Yep.
wounds.
And then for the Scything Talons, if you're using the bulky objective going strategy, 5.83 wounds with the Scything Talons with the Prime, or 5.33 wounds. 3.89 against a Gravis, or 3.56. Same thing with the tank. So again, that solidifies point. They're not there to do damage.
No, they'll do some nice chip damage.
But as you'll see in the next one, they are there for the durability.
Yep.
So we will look now.
Staying power.
Staying power. And the way we broke this one up is it's how many wounds need to be dealt in order to kill off the entire 9-man squad.
And this is where I think, personally, they can really shine.
So their defensive really is what the Tyranid Warriors are about right now.
Yep.
They're efficient staying power.
Yes.
So these are all going up against a bolter, an AP minus 1 or 2 bolter.
Yep.
We have it broken up. So your standard 4-up warrior with enhanced resistance. It will take 54 wounds, not shots,
right.
Wounds.
Wounds to get through.
To get through in order, well, that's, you count for the armor save in there. So yeah, so they have to wound you 54 times for you to fail, on average, enough saves to kill off your 9-man squad.
Okay.
So now if you're using, say, Jormungandr and your enhanced resistance, it will take 81 wounds to get through. That's
where it starts to get ridiculous.
That's the crazy one. 81 wounds to get through in order to kill it. Now, we haven't included here, maybe we will, but we haven't. If you throw 5-up Feel No Pain on these guys, on top of that, that 81 wounds or that 54 wounds goes up even higher.
Which, I mean, you usually will. If you're using this defensive squad, you'll probably try to get it on them.
If they're the backbone to your army.
Right.
All right, so then we have the Leviathan strategy. So enhanced resistance. You have a 4-up save and a 6-up Feel No Pain. It basically takes that 54 wounds and turns it to 65 wounds.
It's a nice little bonus.
It's not, yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't account for so that's wounds from a 1-wound gun, but it doesn't account for the damage inefficiency that damage 2 and damage 3 happens, which is really hard to calculate on just a mathematic average basis.
You'd have to do a pretty specific scenario too.
It gets pretty difficult, but we're working on a way to do that much quicker.
Yeah.
So then you have your dynamic camouflage and Jormungandr, so you have a 2-up save. So this one is, the problem is now you don't ignore AP. So your standard bolt rifle is AP minus 1. But that'll still take you 81 wounds because it's essentially the same
thing,
as the other Jormungandr one.
Right.
All right, and then to touch on the basic 4+ save warrior, if you're getting hit with AP minus 1 weapons, 1 damage, it'll take 41 wounds to kill you. And if you're at that rough AP -2, and it'll take 33.
Right.
Which 33 wounds, if you've got a couple intercessor squads your opponent does in a tactical doctrine, it's easy to get those out.
Which, if you're using a big squad, probably give them the extra tools.
That's just showing you what the extra durability really stacks up here, going from 81 wounds from 33 wounds.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
More than double their staying power.
Yeah.
And now, just a little bit of our closing bits and summary here. So my favorite, personally, is the objective build where you make them as cheap as possible but still durable.
Yep. Fighting against that, it is extremely difficult and can be very frustrating. They can just take so much more firepower than a normal unit with their baseline stats. It's extremely effective for what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and support all options here. With the way Tyranid Warriors are in the meta right now, all options are viable in this. It's just how you want to structure your army, what you want your warriors to do.
Yeah.
Any option's viable. Some other things, Toxin Sacks is something we didn't touch on here. I don't think it's worth it.
It's a reason we didn't touch on it.
3 points per model to, on a 6-2 wound, do an extra damage.
Yeah.
It's just not... If it was 1 or 2 points, 1 point like Adrenal Glands, sure, that'd be awesome. It would really bump up the damage potential on your close combat warriors, but being being 3 points.
Yeah, and given their, how many points are they base? Is it 6?
17 points
17
base.
Points. It's a big chunk of extra points if you
if
compare the math.
If you add these, you're going 17 points plus 3 for the Tox Sacks, plus 1 for the Adrenal Glands, plus 3, and then plus 3 for the Bone Swords.
Yeah.
You're getting close to doubling the value of your warrior.
Generally not worth it, in our opinion.
So that's it. That is a rundown of the Tyranid Warriors, one of the best and most versatile units in the Tyranid Codex right now in 9th edition.
We have high hopes for the next Codex too, that they
stay
this way or get better.
See what they do with them. We want to know in the comments which way you guys are running your warriors. There's so many options. I'm curious to see what way people are having fun or luck. How you're using, if you're using them in tournaments. I'm curious to see which ways people are having fun with those. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and share this video. We are growing faster than we expected here at Maelstrom Gaming, and we have a lot of people to thank for that, especially you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Stay tuned to the next one.
See you then.